Hallo und willkommen, ich bin Meister Lindsay and you're watching Get Germanized, two American girls. Hello, lamb-like and I like big bucks. Discussing German stereotypes with a German, that would be me. Welcome.
I am bored, what should I do?
Ah, ich weiß.
Get Germanized.
First German stereotype that we experienced, well, there's no real order to these, but these are the stereotypes that we experienced before coming to Germany, just growing up, things we heard about Germany if it came up, and then we'll talk about were these stereotypes found to be true or not, or maybe we're still finding that out.
We will, hopefully.
Yeah. The first stereotype would be that Germans are cold or militant or orderly.
Well, you guys discuss away, like, have you found that to be true? Are Germans more cold? Am I really harsh and cold and militant?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I feel they're just much more likely to, and we'll just pretend he's not even here. We'll just pretend.
Well, I'll do this.
Just go away for a while. We'll talk on your own.
I go to my happy place.
They're much
Which
more
is not
likely
existence
to
for German
correct
songs.
you.
Yeah, okay.
They're just...
We Germans don't have a happy place, apparently. So I'm not sure where I'm going, where I am right now. But you guys go ahead.
They're just more likely to correct you, or at least in my experience. I found out after the fact that this boy was actually flirting with me one time, but he was correcting me and like testing me and like saying these rude things that I thought were kind of rude. Do you ever do that?
What? I'm in a happy place. I don't know. German guys test girls?
Like,
really?
Or at least...
You think?
When they'll be less flirty and more just kind of pushy and like more quick to say you're doing something stupid.
I actually wasn't even thinking about dating. I was...
Generally saying, like, people in the streets appear cold and unfriendly. I heard that so many times.
With the Germans you met, were they, like, my experience, or that they're not so cold? Actually, my first experience coming to my university town, I was messaged by a girl on the Facebook group that I was joined, and she just wanted to welcome me to her city and introduce me to her friends, and it was definitely not what I pictured as. Yeah, I didn't really expect Germans to actually be the stereotype, just as I don't expect people coming to America to assume the American stereotypes.
So you made a different experience and from the stereotype.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And I think, though, that what you're defining as cold is also important, because when you're actually meeting a person, I have not had like a really experience where they're actually cold, but it's more just when you're walking on the street and you pass someone, they just aren't going to smile. And that's...
Yeah.
I always say that's because we, like, I don't know, we just don't walk around cheerful all the time. I mean, no one is there like that, is it?
Not like the 7 dwarfs.
Yeah, and most people would think about stuff while they're walking somewhere, and they would just be busy with other stuff, maybe have a tunnel vision kind of thing, and they wouldn't necessarily do that on purpose, like look mean or look unfriendly. It just happens, I suppose, like, because you don't naturally smile all the time.
Like in where I'm from, if you're walking your dog on the street, you see everyone's smiling at each other. You just smile at your neighbor walking by, and you have to smile. It's kind of, but here
you have
that's
to say
true.
Hi too.
Like, you don't just smile to strangers, and if you do, it's kind of weird.
It's not creepy at all.
Hi ho, hi ho.
Yeah.
Soft work we go.
Oh God, no. But yeah, I mean, if that's a stereotypical thing, then it's also stereotypical for America. Then I guess that you smile a lot. Then is it? Or just
you have to be just friendly all the time. If you walk into a store and someone's like, "Hi, how are you?" and you have to be like, "I'm great, thanks."
Oh.
As someone who's worked in customer service, everything with a smile.
Yeah.
I actually talked about that to my friend Emily from Berlin. She hates the customer service.
It's horrible.
In Germany. Because in Germany, because people don't actually come to you and say, hey, do you need help? Like most of the time. Sometimes they do in some stores, but it's not as in your face as in other countries, I suppose.
I found in the grocery store, I definitely feel like I wish I had someone to be helping me when I'm trying to find things.
That's
I always
even
feel like
less
I'm bothering someone.
Yeah, in the grocery store, it's even less common that people will help you, because they don't think necessarily that it's in their job description to help customers unless they are being asked by the customer. Then they help. But
where I'm from, constantly you're getting approached by people in the grocery store asking, do you need help to find something? And
In America?
Yeah.
Okay.
But maybe it depends on your city. Of course, America's huge, so.
But I'm from the other side of the U.S. and it's the same with us.
Same. Oh.
West Coast versus East Coast. Well,
We'll do a rap battle somewhere in there.
But then at the same time, the militant and cold, yeah, like, well, true with strangers and everything, but also professors, I've noticed, have a style of teaching that also is a bit orderly and not so, like, if you have a wrong answer, their response to you is not going to be as nice as maybe an American professor. So
what would they say, like, in comparison? Like, what would the American professor say and what would the German professor say?
Let's do role play.
I told this story on my video on my channel, actually, about... He literally just said, no, that was wrong.
Nein, das war falsch. Really? In German as well?
No, in English.
Okay. Yeah. No, that was wrong. Okay,
And
moving on.
And everyone just started laughing because it was unexpectedly harsh.
How helpful as well.
And he was like, oh, sorry, that was probably harsh. And he tried to fix it, but...
Damage was done.
Yeah.
That's interesting, though. And so, wait, what would the American professor say then?
They would...
honey, not really.
Like,
Bless your heart.
Thanks for trying. You made it, like, that was a good try, but...
Failed.
Yeah.
Well...
Can anyone help them out on the answer?
Yeah, it's always about helping the other person out. We always say that.
Really?
Yeah, that's something I noticed when I got here is say, okay, can anyone help this person out? And it's like...
Nope.
It's a community. We're all
Are you in
all
Germany
together. Oh, and no, in America.
Yeah, here you're on your own.
Yeah, yeah, here, like, no. Next person.
Well, I mean, that's an exaggeration, I suppose. Like, some people would help, but I guess, generally speaking, yeah.
Or, like, the terms. The next person would answer is here. It's kind of a transition to get someone else to answer is, can someone help this person out?
So I guess it's a mixture.
It's a mixture.
The stereotype is, like...
Partially true.
Partially.
Buy me Coke. Jinx, damn it. I have to say Jinx too. Doesn't matter. I don't know how this works, this American thing. We don't have that. Yeah, I know Jinx from The Office as well, where Pam and Jim did that, and then Jim couldn't talk anymore until he bought her a Coke, yeah.
Good episode.
American shows teach me so much.
So next would be rule followers.
Yeah, you guys, whatever.
Okay, when you're crossing the street, and there's the ample man. Do you wait for the ample man to turn green?
The good old ample man, most of the time. But since I lived in foreign countries for quite a bit, I kind of don't sometimes as well. If no one's looking, don't tell anyone. But if no one is there, I'm not like, I have to wait, you know? Yeah, no.
I found this not to be super true with some things. Like... I see people crossing the road all the time, not at the light, at least where I'm living. Also, the bicycles, there's a law that you have to ride your bicycle on the right side of the street, and constantly people are riding the opposite way, which is really scary. Like, I don't know which side of the street to go. And so yeah, I heard that Germans are really strict on the rule following, but all the time I'm seeing this.
But I guess it's only there so that if an accident happens, you can say, there is a rule, you did it wrong, or something like that.
Who's at fault?
Yeah, basically.
So like legality.
Maybe, I don't know. But I mean, I try to walk on the right side most of the time of the pedestrian walking.
Oh, is it even a rule about walking?
I think in Germany it's more, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think it's more common that if you're on a pedestrian walk, how do you say it?
Cross pedestrian.
No, the sidewalk. On the sidewalk, then it's more common to walk on the right side than on the left. If you face someone, like if they come in towards you, then you're on the right mostly. And people act really confused sometimes if you go on the left. Then they're like, oh, okay. And then they go the other way. That's what I noticed.
Yeah, that's interesting because we have that in the US as well. Like, you stay on the right side usually if someone's walking towards you, I think. But when I studied in England, they didn't have these.
No, they go everywhere.
It was so confusing. And I didn't know, like, okay.
I made a video with my friend Emily as well about that topic, about like differences England and Germany, and she pointed that out as well, that in England they just walk everywhere.
Yeah, I thought for the longest time they're just so rude. They're not staying on the right side, but then there was no rule. So.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of going anywhere, when in America we know how to make a line. We can, we're waiting for something, we make a line.
Queue up.
Yeah, queue up and little English in there, British. Here, like, we wait for the train to open, and everybody just like climbs on.
Yeah, that's so like the opposite of what you would think Germans are like, right? But
Exactly.
we definitely don't queue up well sometimes. I mean, when we're at the movies or something, there's a queue, definitely. But like a good one most of the time, I would... No? Okay.
In my experience in, my North Germany too, it's also different.
True.
I haven't been here for too long.
So we don't queue up well anywhere. Well, there you have it. What do you think, though?
About rule following? Or...
Generally, rule following or queuing up or anything like that.
I can't think of any times where rules were like actually followed by the books. Because even at the visa place, they helped me out on giving me a stamp that I wasn't specifically supposed to have. So...
German. No. What stamp?
Oh, the hardship.
The hardship stamp. Let's not talk about that on video, though.
Yeah.
Maybe it's probably not a good idea.
Actually, already had made a YouTube video on it.
You did already?
Yeah, I've already.
Well, whatever then. There you go.
So, next. I can't think of any times where rules were followed.
Let's move on then to the next one.
Okay. On time.
On time, Germans, punctual.
Punctuality. Yeah, I think for the most part this is true, but then all the time trains aren't always on time. Like,
that's true.
5 minutes. Like
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
15 minutes. Sometimes.
Sometimes they break down, which happened to me 3 times on like the S-Bahn in
Really?
Hamburg.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we try to be punctual. Let's put it that way.
And you know what? Actually, my first experience with German punctuality, it was really funny. I was on my way here from the US, like when I was moving here, and I was going through a Portuguese flying airway or whatever. And so the first stop was in Lisbon, and everybody was like a half hour late. Like, we were all like waiting for the thing. We didn't board until like 45 minutes after we were supposed to. But then when I went over to the flight to Hamburg, I was the last person there, and I was like a half hour early. There was a few more people after me. I'm exaggerating. But like almost everyone was there for the flight, like way before time. So it's just funny though.
So
everybody
you saw
went-
Germans were really on time.
Yeah, everyone was,
Okay.
yeah.
There's a rule of thumb that we have about taking flights when you have to be there like 3 to 2 hours earlier for security and stuff like that.
Even for not like
That's just what people do. It doesn't.
international or national?
I think international more.
Okay, because
so
we have that in the US too.
Oh.
Like 1 hour for national flight, 2 hours for international.
It's more like a rule of thumb, though. It's not like everyone does it or something like that. It's just suggested or recommended that you
I
do
think
it.
the airport has it on the website too.
I
Might
like
be.
to be 3 hours because I'm nervous.
For flying.
Yeah.
Huh.
Or like, I don't want to miss a flight.
Yeah,
That's like,
Yeah, that's a
that's
scary.
more my scare, my fear, my scare.
But I think on time socially, my German friend told me like he does not appreciate it when I'm late. So
It's true.
I think that's a personal thing. Like if in the US, if my friend's late to meet up with me, it's really not a big deal, I think. But here, I think it's more.
Depends on how late, I'd say. Like if they're 10 minutes late or whatever, 15 minutes late, it's annoying because. Like I remember a scenario actually recently where my friend told me to be at a certain point at the train station, and he would pick me up, and he wasn't there for like 30 minutes or so, and I was like, oh god, and that can get annoying.
If
but
you're in public, yeah, that's.
yeah, and I was standing around there. But if it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, I don't care. If like no one makes me wait somewhere where I can't do anything else, then it's okay, I guess.
when we first got to know each other, we were actually making plans several times, and each time we did it, we both would be texting each other, oh, running late. And so we had to come up with a new agreement that like we would say if we were meeting at 5 o'clock German time or 5 o'clock American time. If we're leaving 5 o'clock American time, we can come up whenever. We usually meet a half hour later, but we tried for 5 o'clock.
You tried.
Yeah.
Well, I have German friends that are always late as well, so it's not necessarily that all Germans are punctual all the time. It's just, I think, a personal thing, really, with all nationalities. Because there are stereotypes. I mean, the typical one that South Americans are like not on time or something like that, right? But I have many viewers that say that's actually not true, or like that's some people, I guess, or that they have a different understanding of being late and on time as well. That it's just
that's
different.
like stereotypes are always end up being balanced one way or another.
Yeah.
Okay, and then direct.
Are Germans direct?
We're always waiting for you to. Are you?
Well, I don't know.
Germans being direct.
Has anyone ever tried to tell you you're being too direct, but wasn't direct enough?
I don't think so. Like that I'm too direct. I try not to be rude when I talk to people, so I just limit the directness to an extent, I'd say. But maybe that's just me, I don't know.
Yeah. I thought of this, actually. I have found this to be quite true with directness. Like, an American, I feel like, will try to hide a lot of things, like, especially in dating. You don't tell the other person if you find them attractive, even if you do, because you don't want them. I don't know. That's
It's a
like,
secret.
it's like you keep
In Germany.
In the U.S., you
Okay.
don't tell them if you find them attractive, even if you do.
What?
You don't tell
Play
them you're
cool.
interested in them. You have to play this game. And here I found with Germans, they're very, very direct with what they think about you. They don't play these like little games, it seems like, which is really refreshing. That
But
I find it confusing because all I know is these games. Like,
we're gonna just
a
see
guy's
what's the
being
crazy
honest with
girl.
me? What?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I am not for playing games
And like
necessarily.
no
but-
texting for the first like.
Oh yeah.
You don't text them immediately after you've just seen them for like a day or two.
Oh.
But then, like, the German guys, they're so nice. They'll just be like, it was really nice to meet you. And, like, that's, I don't know, communication seems easier.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Here.
So
Blonde and blue eyes.
obviously.
So this
I'm
was...
just gonna step out of the frame here.
Yeah.
So
Leave
this,
you guys alone.
Well, I'm kind of blonde and ish.
Oh yeah, I thought you guys were both blonde.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I don't belong here.
this was the big stereotype I thought before coming to Germany. And then I found, wow, okay, there's so many Germans who are actually brunette with
Yeah.
brown eyes. And then I was talking to my flatmate in Hamburg, and he said this is actually a huge stereotype. And if you see, like, statistics, it's, I think, minority, maybe blue-eyed blondes. I don't know. I'm not sure on that. If anyone knows the statistics, we'll let it down below. But
Well, people will love to look that up, I bet.
I don't know if there's such a thing. But yeah,
Oh yeah, census.
like, yeah, you see it, but it's like the blue-eyed blonde thing. But it's definitely not what the stereotype.
I mean, I've been very blonde when I was a kid. Like, my hair changed a bit, like, got darker, but I was,
Same.
like, super blonde when I was a kid.
Oh.
Anyway, just to feed to that stereotype.
Are you at all German in heritage?
Me? No, I'm Polish, Spanish, Australian.
You're Spanish?
Yeah, it's the Jewish side. They
Okay.
were kicked out of Spain into Turkey, so
yeah.
my mom's dad's from Turkey.
That's interesting. That's like, would you like when someone asks you that, would you say, well, I'm 1/3 Jewish, I'm 1/3 this? Because in Germany, that's not really a thing to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's more American. Like, I'm half Scandinavian, quarter
Yeah, something like that.
Russian
they're gonna
Jew,
tease-
and then quarter Czech.
The commenters tease us so much for this.
Yeah, because in Germany,
But I
it's
like to brag
definitely
about
not
my
a thing.
Czech because, like, I'm related to a former president of Czechoslovakia, so like I like to bring that in there. So
I'm royalty, actually.
If you ask a German where they're from, which I mentioned in my video too, like how they will say for generations and generations, centuries, their family has been from Germany. If you ask an American,
Centuries. It
Seems
sounds
like.
so German. Yeah.
or what was prior Germany before it became actual Germany. But if you ask an American, a lot of times one of their parents might be from a different country. That's really common, or their parents' might be. So it's kind of like
I mean, our country
you're
is-
still connected to this other culture, so it's hard to fully identify, I think, as American, which I know in a German standpoint, we were born there, we are American. End of story.
Well, I
It seems like the
understand
case.
because America was founded on immigrants as well, right? So, so people are just from all different places in the world, and why would you cut ties with that just because you live somewhere else?
For us, American isn't so much like your ethnicity; it's more about your culture. So, like, I would say, even though I mentioned those, like, things that countries I am, I would also say I am American, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's much more easy to also say I'm American. Whereas, like, if you move to America, you're then American, but if you move to Germany, you're still an American in Germany.
Yeah.
Doesn't every third American also have like German ancestors? Isn't there something
Yeah,
like that?
especially the Midwest. When I went there to visit Wisconsin, so many people's last names sounded German. Like, you just could tell they have like the German, Scandinavian background over there.
They'll actually celebrate like Christmas markets and stuff like that.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Not where like we're
really?
from or anything, but yeah, if you go middle and upwards.
Yeah, I like that. Christkindlmarkt.
Christkindlmarkt.
Yeah.
Weihnachtsmarkt.
Yes.
Hey guys, we recorded so much material that we will actually have to make 2 parts out of this. In the next part, we're going to talk about, well, lots and lots more German stereotypes. For example, what kind of music is popular in Germany? What clothing do Germans wear? How popular is Oktoberfest really? And much more. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to all of our channels. Linked in the video description, of course. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.